Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Monday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. I'm Paul Dottino, he's Matt Citak, and the Giants are 2-0 in this preseason, and in both of their games, they've scored at least 30 points. One game, they put up nearly 400 yards of offense. They put up over 475 yards of offense the other day against the Jets. Folks, let's just say this. Okay, it's 2 weeks of preseason football. I don't want to go nuts, but it's been a lot of fun. If nothing else, it's been a lot of fun. And Matt, I don't know what we're going to see on Thursday against the Patriots, whether or not Coach will continue to play some of his starters and veterans for some snaps like he has in the first two games. I have no idea. He may decide that they've all seen enough and they won't play at all. He may do that. I don't know. But one thing I do know is that we have had fun watching these first two games.
Yeah, these have been very enjoyable games to watch. And I know it's preseason, as you mentioned. I get it. At the end of the year, these games aren't going to show up on any, records, any stat sheets. But nonetheless, given the struggles that we have seen the Giants have on the offensive side of the ball in, go back as many years as you'd like, it is nice to see back-to-back games where the offense topped 30 points scored. And I know, again, it doesn't matter. These games don't matter, but it's certainly better than the alternative. I don't think any of us would be feeling too good if we were 2-0 but scored, 14 points and 12 points in the first two games. No, it's the fact that the offense is operating at such an efficient and high level right now that it is preseason. We're going to, take everything with a little bit of a grain of salt, not get too ahead of ourselves here, but the signs of life that this offense has showed us through these first 2 weeks, regardless of who's been under center, has been very, very encouraging to see, because we're seeing everyone perform at a high level, starting with the guys up front, the various different quarterbacks, the pass catchers. We could get the run game going a little bit, but I will say on Saturday night when Tyrone Tracy was on the field, the run game played well. And then it was more when he came out that it kind of started to struggle. So overall, you got to feel just very, very happy with how this offense has looked through the first two games.
Our phone number is 201-939-4513. We will be here for the next hour to talk Giants football with you. You can always find an archive of this show and our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcasts. And of course, we're coming to you from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Matt, I'm going to give you a bunch of numbers that came out of this game on Saturday. And you can expand on any one of these that you wish, or for that matter, just tell me which one you like the most and which one's the most encouraging to you.
Fair enough.
But once again, as I saw in the Bills game, there were a slew of positive things to say. The Giants scored points on 5 of their 10 possessions against the Jets. They were 5 of 9 on third down, 3 for 4 in the red zone. 8 different plays they had that were 20-plus yards or more. So the big play has certainly been in vogue during the month of August for this team. Defensively, they allowed 2 field goals on 6 possessions early in the game, and then, of course, the late touchdown where I have to say a spectacular catch by Skinner in the back corner of the end zone was the only touchdown the Giants defense allowed. So, I thought that was pretty significant. And also, they held the Jets passing attack to 19 of 37 for 192 yards. There was the 1 touchdown, the 1 interception by Makari Page, who made a really nice sliding catch. All of these elements were present in the game. I don't know which one was your favorite, but all of these were a big thumbs up for me.
Yes, so there's 2 that you just mentioned that I think are important to highlight. One of which I didn't even realize until you just said it. I didn't realize the Giants only had 9 third down attempts the entire game. And they scored 31 points. That means they were able to get down the field and didn't even need to get to third down a lot of the time, which is obviously, again, encouraging to see.
Sure.
Both sides of the ball, obviously, the coaching staff has talked for months now about how important the early downs are. Like, I know more so on the defensive side of things that, like, you can't get to the third down pass rush situation unless you win on first and second down. Well, kind of goes the same thing on the offensive side of the ball. Like, you can't get to those third and shorts on offense unless you are performing on the early downs, first and second. So that, I just didn't even realize that they only had 9 attempts on third down in the game. So that is good to see. But to me, the biggest one, and again, this goes back to what I was saying a little earlier about the offensive struggles, it's got to be that number of explosive plays. Like, you said that number, and I had realized that, but I was starting to think, I'm like, I can't even remember 20 or 20-plus yard plays all of last season.
It seems like it, right? I know, it seems like it.
It seemed like,
I know.
It was maybe once every other game. Like, they were very hard to come by last year. So the fact that there were 8 in this game, and again, preseason, I know, but still, it beats the alternative. So clearly, and we knew with Russ coming here under center, explosive plays were going to be more part of the game plan, because obviously Russ is a great downfield thrower, and that was not the strengths of some of the quarterbacks the Giants had last year. Russ, not only is he capable of throwing the deep ball, but he's great at it. It is one of, if not his biggest strength at this point of his career. So I expected to see more explosive plays, but it's good to see that, obviously there was the Bo Collins 80-yard play.
Don't leave out Tommy DeVito's late throw either to Bly.
No, that's true.
It was 40-yard pass play?
41, I believe. Yeah. But yeah, there was the Bo Collins play early on, which we already have some people commenting. They saw your clip of the Bo Collins play. We already got some comments on the YouTube chat about it. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend going to watch a replay of that play. They show one side angle where you see a certain Giants.com personality sprinting down the sideline to get a good view.
Should we entitle that Batman Returns? Should we send that to Baldy and just tell him Batman Returns?
It's been a couple years since we got a video of you really sprinting down the sideline like that following a play.
I was caught flat-footed.
But it's good to see.
I didn't expect the ball to go that deep.
Exactly. More plays like that means good things for the Giants offense if there's Paul running in the background.
Oh,
so let's hope for a lot more of those.
No doubt.
But yeah, I mean, that throw, 54 air yards on the throw to Bo Collins. And he just placed it perfectly, dropped it in a bucket, 54 yards downfield.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. And obviously, Bo Collins took it the other 26, came so close to finishing in the end zone. Some people are just looking at Russ's final stats and being like, oh, he had an interception and he didn't have a touchdown. Clearly those people didn't actually watch the game because easily that should have been a touchdown. And the interception was a miscommunication with Bo Collins where Russ took the blame for it after the game.
All leaders do.
Like all leaders do, and especially from him. I wouldn't expect him to do anything else.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, I don't know if it really fully was Russ's fault. He's just taking the blame for it. So I think he played a lot better than if just looking at his box scores would show. And I know you don't love PFF grades, but the PFF grades support what I was just saying. They had Russ, having a very, very strong game.
Trust your eyes.
No, I do, but
he played well. You don't need them to tell you that.
No, I don't, but it's nice to have it just as a little support to back me up.
In any event, there were 2 other big picture numbers that I wanted to give you that were not specifically related to the offense or the defense, but after having 10 penalties marked off against them last week, they only had 5 in this game against the Jets for a total of 22 yards. Which is a huge improvement. I mean, it's 50%. Huge. So that was very, very good. And then the other item, which is a big picture item, special teams was fantastic. They allowed punt returns of only 4 and 3 yards, and Turbo Miller down to punt, I believe, at the 6-yard line. Can't get much better than that in terms of tilting the field.
I think it was even closer than that.
Was it the 5?
5 or 4 even.
Might have been the 5.
Yeah.
Okay. In any event, wow. Just so many boxes were checked. So many good things now through the first 2 weeks of August. But as I told my dad on the phone, He's like, pretty good, right? Dad, these are August boxes. They are not September boxes. They are August boxes. They're being checked. And it's really exciting. And most importantly, I said it before, I'm going to say it again, folks. Giants football right now is fun to watch. F-U-N, fun. It's just a joy right now to watch this team. Now, whatever happens from this point forward, happens. But it's been fun. And they've made August a really, really exciting and optimistic and enjoyable time. And to be frank with you, and I think you'll agree with me, Matt, we've always watched, even in the playoff season, we've watched this team for the last several years slog through August. And we try to convince ourselves that it's only preseason, that it's going to be better. And then it usually doesn't turn out better. It usually turns out to be just as bad as what we saw in the preseason. This is different.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying it for months, and I hope you guys have been listening, but since the start of the offseason workout program, which was draft week, and it really picked up a couple weeks later once OTA started, there's just been a different feel around the team in this building. It's 100% true. We're not just, saying that lying to you guys. Like, there's been a different feel, and we've seen it on the field since day one of training camp, or going back to the spring, but especially since day one of training camp. You can credit it to Russ, to the change of the quarterback room, to whatever you want to do. But there's just been a different feel, and they're starting to show that on the field in these games as well. Again, as you mentioned, it's preseason, it's August. However, as Coach Dable said the other day, it certainly beats the alternative. It certainly beats the Giants going into this preseason finale 0-2 as opposed to 2-0.
Well, you tell me, when's the last time you had so much fun watching preseason football?
To be honest,
never?
No, there was one year that comes to mind, and that's what I wanted
Victor
to bring
Cruz.
up. As fun as this preseason has
Victor
been.
Cruz.
No, more recently, I do want to just remind everyone, and not to throw a damper on the parade, but in 2019, the Giants were 4-0 in the preseason. They had a rookie first-round quarterback who was lighting it up in the preseason. Obviously, that season and the next few years did not go as we would have hoped. Now, this is a completely different team, and I think this roster is so significantly better than that roster in 2019. Not even touching on the rookie quarterback aspect, just the whole team.
Mm-hmm.
This team is so much deeper at just about every single position than that team was. But I only bring it up because there was a lot of hype and a lot of buzz around the team in that August, and things came crashing down pretty quickly.
Yeah,
that
there
year.
was some, but that's still 6 years ago.
That was 6 years ago, for sure. This is definitely the most excitement there's been around this team this time of year since then. And obviously having a rookie quarterback that is performing at a high level in these early tests, that goes a long way in building that excitement and buzz. And you just mentioned the fun aspect, and I agree with you. This is the most fun I've had watching the first two games of preseason, again, in 6 years. And I just want to remind you, we're having this much fun. Malik Neighbors hasn't played a preseason snap yet. Andrew Thomas hasn't played a snap yet. Dexter Lawrence hasn't played a snap yet. Those are arguably the three best players on this team. And then you want to go into the next batch of best players, and those guys have played very limited snaps.
Mm-hmm.
So all I can say is I cannot wait for week one, where all these guys, hopefully all of these guys, will just be fully unleashed onto the Washington Commanders, and we get the season off with a good division win.
All right. We're going to get to our phone calls in just a couple of seconds. I want to make one other point, because I don't know how Coach Brian Daboll is going to play it on Thursday against New England. My suspicion is that because he's given the veterans a nice sampling of snaps in the first two games, my suspicion is he might be a little more inclined to pull back on Thursday, especially with a short week.
That would be my guess as well. As Coach says, each player is like a case-by-case situation. Yes. So if there's a specific guy that they are like, we had a plan that he was going to get X amount of snaps in the preseason and he's 5 to 10 snaps short. Maybe they put that guy in for a series or two. But I agree with you. If I had to guess right now, especially because it's the short week, I would think that more starters than not will not be playing.
Yeah. All right, so let me say this now, and that's why I bring this up. I'm thrilled. You know me, folks. I've been doing this a long time. I always favor playing your veterans and your starters, at least some in the preseason. Brian Daboll has done that. He has changed his MO this year in his 4th season as a head coach. I do believe that is part of the reason why we've seen the success that we've seen. It certainly helps when you get a chance to play some of your regulars than if you're just playing all of your depth chart guys for the entire game. There's no doubt that that does make somewhat of a difference. Now, to the Bills and Jets' credit, even though they had some scratches, they did play a lot of their starters early on against the Giants starters. Yep. So that doesn't warp or dilate the Giants' performance in any way.
No.
But it is my belief, and it's always been my belief, that these guys, like boxers, they need to spar before they can get in the ring and produce at maximum efficiency. I've been preaching that for decades. I will never stop preaching it. I'm glad Brian Daboll did it, and I believe the Giants will get off to a better start in September because of these guys getting some reps. And again, that goes without saying of what's going to happen on Thursday. I don't know what's going to happen on Thursday, but he's already gotten these guys some action in the first 2 games, and I believe that's important, and I applaud him for doing so.
Yeah, I mean, the first preseason game is a game in the past that Brian Daboll has not played any starters, like pretty much at all.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously against the Bills, the starters did get some run, and then they played again against the Jets. So I'm with you. I think, obviously the biggest reason for not playing starters in the preseason is, of course, the risk of injuries, because it's a violent, physical game. Guys get hurt all the time. Now, 2 weeks in, we're 2 games in, and their Giants have not had any serious injuries in these preseason games. Just do the first 2 games.
Okay.
Knock on wood.
That's enough. Don't
I'm
say
just
it again.
saying that is why you've gotten the good reps. I don't want to say you've been lucky, but luck has been on your side.
Don't push it.
You don't need to necessarily push it, especially because you've seen your starters already go out there and look pretty dang good. So, yeah, that's why I agree with you. Lean towards the let's not push it. Let's put these starters
especially in a short week.
Bubble wrap them, put them on ice until that Week 1 game in Washington.
201-939-4513 is our phone number. As I go to my first caller here, it's Abdul in Minneapolis. He says he wants to talk about Robinson and Ezeudu. I'm just going to say this, Abdul, before you even go there, Joshua Ezeudu and Evan Neal had themselves one really nice game the other night against the Jets. I think Ezeudu, over the last few weeks, has taken some of the best snaps he's had since he's been a New York Giant, and I'm really glad to see that. And I'm also glad to see how well Evan Neal did in his first opportunity at guard. Please go ahead.
Okay, I totally agree with you. And my only issue is I'm so frustrated it took the Giants so long to finally play Ezeudu at guard. That's where he was drafted. That's where he played best in college.
You know how I felt about this all along. I was always on board for him as a guard.
He looked a little better at tackle, but tackle wasn't where he was supposed to be.
Correct.
And it actually hurt that young man. You know what I mean? I think it hurt his confidence. It hurt his reputation. And they finally played him at his natural position, and he's, I guess, excelled might be too gratuitous of a word, but he played really well.
Yeah.
And I watched him, a lot of the 22 tapes that I've been watching on Twitter, and he was catching twists and stunts, and he was stopping bull rushes. He looked great at guard, and and Evan Neal didn't look bad. He didn't look great, but he didn't look bad, which is a step in the right direction.
That's where we are now. He didn't look bad. That's fine. Okay. We'll take it. That's fine.
Okay.
That's better than the alternative.
So that's
Yes. As Abdul mentioned,
I'm glad
it's a
they
step
finally
in the right
put him
direction.
in his natural position. And if you told me at the beginning of this camp that Ezeudu would be around on the 53, I would have been like, no way. But now I don't see how they could cut him because he's probably one of the best backup guards we have on the team, easily.
Sure.
So that being said, my kind of hot take is I wouldn't. Okay, I'd be surprised, but it might happen. Wendell getting cut on cut day. I don't see him fitting into this offense. I don't. I think he's actually a detraction from this offense. And this kid Washington, so far, has been playing better than him, and he's cheaper, and I think he fits the offense better. And I probably won't happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if Wendell gets cut and they sign this kid Washington as the slot back.
Abdul, just be careful. I just want to give you a little bit more info than what you're probably privy to. Watching Washington since he got here, he does have dropsies issues. Now,
okay. I don't see that in practice.
I know. And, we saw a couple against the Bills in the opening preseason game. He had 2 in that game. And at practice, he does make plays, but he also lets some plays get away from him. There's an inconsistency issue there, and that's something that you're not privy to, and I don't blame you for that, but that does count when the coaches collect their grades.
Yeah, I do think, I've spoken about Montrell on the show several times over the last couple of weeks. I do think overall he's had a strong camp, and I do think he is making a case for himself to be one of those the final wide receiver on the depth chart, especially because he does add some to the special teams as well. However, as good of a camp as I might think he has had, there's no way I would think he's played so well that makes Wandell expendable. Yeah. Wandell is still one of the best playmakers on this team with the ball in his hands. He catches almost everything thrown in his way.
I don't know about that.
I would be. You might not. You said you wouldn't be shocked. I would be shocked if Wandell were to get cut.
So would I.
Okay. For the run game, it scares me. But that's so the starters aren't really playing, or at least Dexter's not playing. But Dexter can't be on the field the whole time, and the run game, it's just. If one thing's going to derail this season, it's going to be the run game. And but they couldn't fix everything in the offseason. They did as much as they could. I get it, but it makes me nervous. So I just I'm extremely positive. I'm excited about this. I can't wait. For the Washington game to see everyone out there. That's saying that it's getting kind of late early for Taylor, the tackle. What's going on with him? Because he needs to get activated off the pup.
Andrew Thomas, as far as I know, the schedule still, although Coach Brian Dable will not be specific about it, my understanding, educated understanding, is that he'll be ready for the Washington game. Now,
so they'll throw him out there without any kind of,
if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. Maybe he gets out there for a couple of practices, but I'm under the impression that they're not necessarily worried about him missing that first game. Now, here's what I will tell you, Abdul. Please understand this about your previous comment.
Yeah.
The Giants play the Chargers in Week 4, and we know Coach Harbaugh is a running monster, right? He loves pounding the ball. Don't judge the Giants' rush defense in the first 3 weeks of the season, because as I've talked to Andre Patterson, the defensive line coach, specifically about this, he said, you have to understand, we can't tackle during training camp. That's not the way that their training camp is run. And he's like, my defensive linemen, they need to be able to play through the ball. They need to be able to tackle. They need to be able to go all out on a snap to really get themselves going. So they haven't been able to do that except this very limited reps that the starters have had in the preseason. So what I'm going to tell you is this. That's the one unit and the one factor that while I'm still in a show-me phase, I want to know what they're going to be like by the time they get to Week 4 and they play the Chargers. That's when I'm going to grade that unit seriously.
Why tackle during preseason or during practice? Like they did it for 50 years beforehand, and now teams can't tackle well. They can't, until
I know.
Game.
Carl Banks and Harry Carson have been talking about this for 20 years.
Practice tackling the ground.
I know.
to do
I
that.
understand, but that's the way coaches have decided to go, and that's their right.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess so.
they're the ones who
It makes
coach.
it work
And
team.
because you get
and
absolutely
one more-
destroyed if a guy, one of your players, especially one of your better players, gets tackled in practice and all of a sudden he's injured and he's out and missing time, you get destroyed for that.
I played up to college football. You know, maybe it was 20 years ago, but from third grade till college, we tackled.
I know,
practice.
Abdul, but we can't complain about it because that's the way it is. It's the reality now. Hey, Brian Dable made a concession this year. He's playing some of the vets and the starters in the preseason.
Exactly.
Be grateful for that.
Great.
Be grateful for that because it's wonderful. Don't be trying to get more of the pie now, okay? It is what it is.
Okay, one more last crazy thing I have time for. I just saw this morning that Cincinnati is taking some trade talks for Hendrickson. I'm here to trade Thibodeau and Hyatt or a draft pick for Hendrickson.
Oh, jeez.
I know it's crazy.
Abdul, I'm not even going there. Have a good day. 201-939-4513.
All I'm going to say about that is the report I've seen of what Cincinnati is asking for is a good, promising young player and a first-round pick in next year's draft. So considering the Giants just drafted Abdul Carter, they picked up Kayvon's fifth-year option, so he's under contract for 2 more years, and they have Brian Burns under contract for, 3-4 more years? Like, Trey Hendrickson is amazing, don't get me wrong, but we're already having conversations of how you're going to get those first 3 guys on the field. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to replace Kayvon with Trey Hendrickson, which obviously Trey Hendrickson's one of the best at his position.
Oh, and by the way, you got to pay him, too.
You got to pay him. Like, that's just, we talk about roster gymnastics all the time with trying to build a full roster. That is just so much money and resources now put towards one position when you have a full 53-man roster to fill out.
Indeed.
So it sounds good on paper and in theory, but in actuality, it's just unrealistic in many ways.
Coach
But
Marvin,
let's hope he stays in the AFC.
Coach Marvin's on line 3. Coach, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Paul. Matt, how you doing?
Very well.
How are you, Coach?
I'm doing good. Stage 5, check. They did a great job in stage 5. That's all we know. Next time we see them, it'll be stage 6. So that's the way I'm looking at it. They just checking each test they take, and they're passing. I think what's the exciting part, and Paul, apparently you were running down the sideline. The exciting part is, when is the last time we saw a pass thrown like way in a home game? The only one I can think of is Eli throwing one that deep.
Yeah, you know, Coach.
Game? I can't even remember any.
Here's what I'll say, and I mean this wholeheartedly. Okay, I understand why the offense was somewhat muted over the last several years. There were a variety of factors why they didn't get a ton of big plays, and there were a lot of reasons why they didn't even try them. When you and I both know that. We know enough about this game, and Matt's been here long enough to know why. There are a lot of reasons why. It's spilled milk. It's in the past. It's over. This is a new era of Giants football, and it's quite clear that these coaches believe they have more tools in the toolbox, and they're going to use them. And I think that's the only thing we should be talking about right now, not about the spilled milk from years past.
Right, and I understand that, but it's trying to explain why people are so excited. There is a reason.
Yes, there is
for that, and that's not the knock on anybody, but what it looks like to me is the offense has opened up. The plays that you see them running has opened up. Russell, I hear today, I'm watching the shows today, and people, not a lot of people, but a few people are saying that Jason Dart should start day one, and it's because of what they're seeing. I don't believe that. I believe Dable just keep all the noise out of the locker room and let Jason learn. And I think what he's doing, he's
Jackson,
himself.
Coach. It's Jackson.
I'm sorry, Jackson.
That's okay.
He's building himself a quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think he tore him down. He tore him down from what he was in college, and he's building him back up. Not to say what he did in college doesn't matter. It does. But that's how you normally will build a player. With me doing it with kids that played for somebody else and come to me, I look at their talent. But those players, no matter what position they is, I had to break them down and build them back up into a player that I would like them to be. And if they can do more than that, then I had to adjust my book to them at what they do. I had to make plays for them because they were special talent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's building him up. And he's going to keep building him. And as I was talking to Pearson before I came on, I think that's what Mr. Mara them needs to look at, what they're doing on this team. Because it's not the same team that we've seen, 2 years ago? It's different players. Look at the leadership. Listen to Brian Burns talk to the media. These are not the same guys that we've been used to seeing over the last 9 years or so. This is a whole different group of players, and I think that's the excitement that's happening. And it's a little joy, but I know those defenses are vanilla. They're not showing them anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so the preseason, they're not seeing anything crazy, so they playing with what's in front of them, and they're producing, and that's good. That's always good, because if Dart or Wilson, if they were throwing 2 interceptions a game in these preseason games, we'll be ripping them, saying they're terrible. They're terrible. Now that they play well, we give them their roses, but it's stage 5. So I still have some concerns about, you were just talking, Paul, about the pass rush. The Jets ran the ball pretty good a couple of drives. It kind of stalled a little bit, but they was running it pretty good. That concerned me a little bit. I know Dexter wasn't playing. And the tackling, again, I talked about tackling on this show for a few years, and I understand it. But I think even if you're not practicing it, which you need to do, I think you need to somehow stay on your feet. And I think they leave their feet too much, which they lose their leverage. So they arm tackling, and so you're trying to tackle a guy that's, 205, 210 that's running, and you trying to arm tackle him. You're not going to bring him down that way. You got to bring your feet with you and hold him up. I used to tell my kids, if you can't tackle him, get him down. Do it. Grab his shirt and hold him. Do something till your friends come help you get him down. Don't let him just run through you. So I think that's what they need to do.
Yeah, Coach, the rush defense is the one part of their game right now that I just think it's lagging behind. And the more time that we see those starters play and the more cohesion they have and the more that they can run to the ball as a group, and you know all about this, you want to get all those guys in the screen, you know what I'm talking about. The more that happens over the course of the next several weeks, that will tell us where this rush defense is going to be. But I don't necessarily think we're going to really get a good, real feel on it until the Charger game. Honestly, that's how I feel. So I'm not going to panic about it. And so if anybody wants to call me the first 3 weeks of the regular season and say the Giants are giving up 150 yards a game on the ground, their run defense stinks, I'm going to say wait until the Charger game before you complain to me.
Yeah, you're going to have to get some practice into those tackles, and it does take time.
Sure, it does
happen. I'm hoping that we don't get to that point and they get run on too many yards.
I know,
but I think if they stay on their feet, I think they can help themselves and get into better tackling rather than diving for guys or letting guys drag them or arm tackling. Just bring your legs with you and just hold them up that's what you have to do. We've been playing this thug practice all the time. Then thug practice them. Hold them up until your friends come help you get them down.
All right, Coach.
That's what I'd like to say. But I have real quick. I'd like to put out something. One of my coaches, Mike Jones. He was my defensive coach. His son is a rapper by the name of Jordan Lucas. A lot of people know who he is. He played in the movie Bad Boys 3. His new album just was released, ADHD 2. Outstanding kid, and I'm so proud of him that he has success. So I just wanted to put that out.
You got it, Coach. Be well.
Thank you, Coach.
201-939-4513. Did you have something you wanted to address?
I mean, just real quick on the quarterback thing that he started his point off at.
Mm-hmm.
This coaching staff is obviously trying to win every single game that they possibly can. If they thought going into week 1 that the Giants' best chance at winning right now would be Jackson Dart at quarterback, guess what? He would be playing quarterback. But they're not. Coach Daboll's made it abundantly clear that Russell Wilson is the starting quarterback, and it did not matter how well Jackson Dart played in this preseason. That was not going to change because Coach Daboll knows what's best for this team. And what this team needs now is Russell Wilson, the veteran quarterback, under center, and just give Jackson time to grow and develop. Like, yes, he's looked great, but as we've mentioned, as Coach just mentioned, it's not like he's playing intricate, complex defenses. It's vanilla schemes that he's going up against. So it's great that he's having success, but it's not the same as doing it in the regular season. And he will get his time. He will get his opportunity. But, between Coach Daboll and Mike Kafka, you have two guys running an offense that have had different situations with rookie quarterbacks in the past. Brian Daboll obviously was there for Josh Allen. And Josh Allen went in, was it the week 1, week 2? He didn't start week 1. That was Nathan Peterman. But again, his competition was Nathan Peterman. Yeah. Say what you want about Russell Wilson. He's a better quarterback right now than Nathan Peterman ever was, period. That's not even remotely close.
We can make this really easy for you folks. Russell Wilson has done nothing that would justify taking him out of the lineup.
No.
He has looked really good.
He's looked great in practice. He's looked good in the games. He's done nothing to deserve not being the starter. Nothing at all. And just Mike Kafka, on the opposite of the Josh Allen, Brian Daboll spectrum, had Patrick Mahomes as a rookie. And Patrick Mahomes sat until week 17 and then went in and started one game, a meaningless week 17 game for the Chiefs. And look how his career has turned out since then. So I'm not saying that Jackson Dart is the next Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. He's Jackson Dart. He's his own quarterback. But the coaching staff will put him in when they think he is good and ready, and he gives the team the best possible chance to win football games. So until that time comes, until they tell us, because they're spending way more time than any of us are, or anyone at home, any of the media pundits, the national reporters that are going on TV saying, oh, the Giants need to put Jackson Dart in. They're not spending time around this team. They're seeing from 30,000 foot view and just saying, oh, you got to throw the rookie in. They have no idea what's going on in this building. So
how true.
Don't listen to anything those people are saying, because they don't know what's best for the New York Giants. They know what's best for their TV ratings.
You can get information about a 2025 Giants season ticket package. And your membership includes all kinds of access and benefits during the course of the year, not just during the season. To learn more, go to giants.com/tickets. Also, the Giants Huddle podcast. Again, we talk to you about this all the time. It's got interviews with Giants people and NFL people. Pearson or Matt, either one of you guys got something going up today that John has recorded?
Yes.
Paul, your interviews with Akeem Nicks and Stephen Baker.
Oh, very cool.
Went up today.
Two Giants receivers who had an awful lot of success, enough that they each got a Super Bowl ring.
There you go.
All right, so that's going up on the Giants Huddle today. Don't forget to go to giants.com/podcasts or your favorite podcast platform, and you can get all of those goodies as well. The Giants Foundation will host a 5K Racing Kids Run. It's presented by Quest on Sunday, October 26th at 9 a.m. at MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt after the race. Stay for a post-race festival with appearances by Giants legends and a live DJ. Register now at giants.com/5K. The Giants Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. And finally, the Giants TV mobile app. It's official. It's free. All you got to do is go to Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app, and you can go get Giants TV and catch all kinds of great stuff. I think Sights and Sounds is also going up today too, right, from the Jets game?
I believe so, yes. It should be going up today.
Yeah, so that's always fun stuff, especially, the stuff that they give you on the benches and on the sidelines. Michael Becton is always down there with his camera. I got to worry about tripping over him sometimes. And he's always down there with Dave Mancini as the audio guy, and they're getting in all the good details there on the bench. A lot of that stuff is fun. A lot of it doesn't make it to the airwaves because The language is a little less than family approved, shall we say, but they do save what they can, and it's always a fun watch. So we do invite you to join that. Quickly, Andrew in North Carolina, you're next on the show. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? You guys are great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Andrew.
I had two questions. I've heard you guys discuss Jackson Dart and the scenario on if week 1 or week 2 Russ would get hurt, would him or Jameis come in the game? And I think the consensus was it would be Jameis.
Right.
I was wondering if that has changed any, considering these off-script moments that Daboll has been putting Jackson through to come in at any moment. It just seems like he really wants him to be ready, and Jackson's ability with his legs is very unique from Jameis and Russell, and I do think it really opens up Daboll's playbook. So is there a chance that we might even see Dart come in some scenarios in the game already, or have you guys' viewpoint changed with him being the QB2? And my second question was dealing with our beautiful, phenomenal pass rush of players. I just wanted to know how you guys see this playing out at the end of this year. We know the rumors going around with Kayvon. If he plays well, can we extend him, especially having a quarterback on a rookie deal? What scenario do you guys likely see happening? You can get a lot of value for a young DN, so that's all I have for you guys.
Well, thanks for the call.
Thank you, Andrew.
Why don't you take the quarterback thing first? Because we've already been pretty clear about it, but go ahead.
Yeah. So, as we mentioned, as Coach Dable has mentioned, I don't even know how many times, Russell Wilson is the starting quarterback. In terms of QB2, now going back to the first day of training camp, when Brian Dable and Joe Shane spoke to reporters, obviously the first at least 50% of the press conference was spent on the quarterback position. Surprise, surprise. And while Brian Dable, again, reiterated Russ as a starter, he did somewhat leave the door open as for a potential competition for the QB2 spot. During practice, the first few weeks of the summer, Jackson Dart and Jameis Winston have sort of gone back and forth between who gets in after Russ in terms of QB2 and who's QB3. They literally flip-flopped on a near daily basis. Obviously, in the first 2 games, Jackson has gone in before Jameis. I would not say that just because Jackson went in before Jameis in those 2 preseason games that definitely means that he's got, the lead for QB2. Coach has not spoken really about that backup quarterback spot, and even if he did, he wouldn't be telling us anything about that situation. And it's sort of like we're probably not going to really know much until potentially something happens, which hopefully we never get to that point. In terms of, the fact that he threw Jackson in, again, Coach Dable's made it clear they have a plan for developing Jackson Dart. And part of that is making sure he is ready in a moment's notice to go into a game and perform when needed. That's exactly what happened. That was a predetermined plan on Saturday night where the only 2 people that really knew about it sounds like, were Coach Dable and Russell Wilson.
Right.
They were the only 2 privy of those plans. Jackson went in for 1 play. I mean, I was up in the press box. I was surprised. I'm like, wait, did Russ just get hurt? Why did they take him out in the middle of a drive? And then all of a sudden he's back out there. And it took me a few seconds to realize, this is clearly what we've seen Coach Dable do it in practice all the time. Decided to surprise Jackson and do it in a game. And Jackson had no idea, because he said after the game, his first reaction was looking at Coach and saying, "Are you serious?" Like, he was not expecting that at all. So we don't know really who is the leader right now for QB2. My gut would still lean towards Jameis, because again, the worst thing you can do for a rookie quarterback is rush the development. Just because he's looked good in the summer does not necessarily mean that is going to translate to the games that actually matter. So, God forbid if something were to happen to Russ early on and he were to have to miss some time, my gut right now leans towards Jameis going in over Jackson. But then again, we don't know what's going on in those, in the quarterback room, in the discussions with all the coaching staff. Jackson's obviously looked good. He's looked good in practice and in a game, but for me, it's just, I'm on the mindset of there's just no need to rush him. Obviously we want to win this year. We want to win as many games as possible this year, But Jackson Dart's development is about more than just this season. It's about the future years.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather sit him a couple extra weeks, even if it's a couple of weeks too long, even if it means we potentially lose a game or two this year, if it's better for his long-term development than rushing him in before he's fully ready and before he's ready to just take control of this offense and lead the team for hopefully the next, decade plus.
Furthermore, don't read anything into the order of the quarterbacks during the preseason, because if everything stays the same, Dart, as the third stringer during the year, is going to get very, very, very few reps. So from a learning perspective, he is going to learn and develop and get a lot more out of playing with the second team in the preseason than he would if he was playing with the third and fourth team. So there is value in throwing him in before Winston. There's no question about that. And that's why it was done the other night. They wanted to give him more valuable learning reps with the higher level of depth chart players. So don't let that influence your thinking. Thibodeau, it's simple. He's under the contract this year. Fifth-year option was already picked up next year. So he's on the Giants in 25, and he's on the Giants in 26. What happens after that? Who knows? Who knows? Somebody could always get hurt. Something could always change. It's foolish to even worry about what's going to happen with Thibodeau after he becomes a free agent following the 26th season. Why would we even talk about that today? It makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kayvon's been solid the first 3 years, but it's not like he's performed at a level the first 3 seasons where, everyone's thinking like, oh, you got to lock him down to a long-term extension right now. Like, he's still got to go out and prove that he deserves to, get paid like what I'm sure he would like to get paid. He's got to go out and perform and produce on a consistent basis first. So I can't worry about 2 years down the road. I hope that he plays so well these next 2 seasons that it becomes a big discussion.
Sure.
After the 2026 season. But for now, and I see all the time, the Giants should trade Kayvon now. Like, no, we've spoken about this in the offseason. The last 2 Super Bowl teams had at a minimum of 3 very talented edge rushers on each of those teams, if not more. Right now, the Giants have those 3, potentially even more if you get down to, like your Chauncey Golstons and that level of player. But
and by the way,
why would you want to trade from the team's biggest strength? That is what I don't get it when I see these comments on Twitter.
Golston's been pretty quiet in the 2 preseason games.
He's looked great in practice.
Yes, but not so much in the games.
It has not translated yet.
I'm curious.
But he's also not been playing with that first team defense.
That's true too.
When he's on the field in the regular season and he's lining up and he's got the studs around him that are going to get all the attention from the opposing offensive lines, that's going to put him in better one-on-one situations that hopefully he will capitalize on.
All right, we're getting a little close here to running out of time. We got YouTube things to go through. I'll have Matt start reading a couple of those after we take another quick call from Mike. He is in Indiana. You're next on BBKL. Hello, Mike.
Hey, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. I got one question and kind of like a comment. The question is there any world that we see Turbo Miller gaining more the first-team reps or maybe even second-team reps moving forward and see him get more playing time with Scadaboo out and Devin Singletary? To me, it just seems like Turbo Miller is like the hot hand right now, is my question. And then my comment is, I want to say, I don't know if anyone's brought it up. I got in late. The highlight play, the Russell Wilson 63-yard air ball to Bo Collins. Not to put any spotlight on you, Paul, but I do want to say your form running down the sideline and being right there in the action in the background of that play, I just want to say it was absolutely awesome. Appreciate you guys. I'll take my answer off the air.
Thank you, Mike.
Like I said, we're just not used to being able to track down those long bombs. I was caught flat-footed. That's what it comes down to.
Mike, we did touch on that early on, but thank you for bringing it up again.
Yeah, okay.
It makes me laugh
Fine.
every time.
I know. It's okay. Regarding Dante Miller, Matt will tell you I am like the biggest Turbo Miller fan in the building, have been since he first walked onto campus last year. He has done everything he could possibly do to make this 53. I'm not concerned about where he stands on the depth chart because with the 3 running backs in front of him, he's number 4. Now, I personally believe if it were my decision, and it's not mine, so please don't go on the internet and say, I said this is going to happen. No, I'm not speaking for Joe Shane, and neither are you.
Certainly not.
If I'm making up the 53, Turbo Miller's on it. I'm not afraid to tell you that. If I'm making it up, Turbo Miller's on my 53. And that's it. And there's really nothing else to say. He's done it in the backfield. He's shown that he's willing to block and pick up the blitz. He certainly is an asset in the passing game. We've seen him return kickoffs. We've seen him down in kick coverage, getting his hands dirty. He would have to be on my 53, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of him getting more first or second team reps as a running back, I'm with you. I don't think that really matters much because Coach Dable last week, when asked about Dante Miller and his chances of making the team, Coach said, like, look, he's not competing against the other running backs, which basically means our top 3 running backs are going to be Tyrone Tracy, Cam Scadaboo, and Devin Singletary. But he said the people that he is competing for a roster spot against are, you know, the wide receivers, the linebackers, the guys at other positions they're tight ends that are fighting for special teams roles. That is how Dante Turbo Miller is going to make this team. And to echo what you just said, Paul, he has been crushing it on special teams. He has looked great. Michael Gabriel was raving about him during his media earlier today about him as a gunner, saying he's a physical tackler. You wouldn't think it based on his size, and you think of Dante Miller, you'd think of speed. Well, he's using that speed in the kickoff coverage game, and he's looking very good as a gunner.
By the way, he did some of that at Columbia before he went to South Carolina. So he does have some of that in his background. He's not totally foreign to playing special teams. And I think a lot of us kind of forgot about that and glossed that over, but it's helping him right now. There's no doubt.
Yeah, it is very clear that he has caught the attention of this coaching staff for sure. And again, it's likely not going to be as one of the top 3 running backs, but if he can prove, which he already has started to, that he could be a very valuable contributor on special teams, then it's going to be incredibly difficult for this coaching staff and front office to not include him on the 53-man roster.
You know what? He picked up another 4 first downs the other night.
He's been great as a pass catcher. He's caught every pass that's been thrown to him in this preseason. Every single one. Now, the rushing has not been the best, but that goes for everyone on the team outside of Tyrone Tracy against the Jets on Saturday. He's the only running back so far in the preseason that has had success running the football. So I'm not going to hold that too much against Dante Miller. He's already shown in the passing game he can be a factor, and he certainly can be a factor on special teams.
All right, real quick, I'm going to just mention this one guy, God's Will 64. Make the call who makes the starting lineup along the offensive line. I do think it's the same starting 5 that you had last year. With Thomas and Illuminor at the tackles, you'll see Runyon and Van Roten at the guards, and JMS at center. I do believe that Evan Neal will wrestle away the starting spot from Van Roten at some point very early in the season. As long as he continues to excel like he did the other night against the Jets, if that arrow keeps going up over the course of the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, some point early in the year, he will eclipse Van Roten as the starter. I believe that.
I think he's going to have to show so much in order to do that because it is clear that the coaching staff trust Greg Van Roten very much so. And obviously, looking at what he did last year, they have full reason to trust him.
Well, he's not there yet.
No, he's not there yet. And I'm not going to say that I don't think there's any chance he gets there. Week 1 might be a stretch. We're now 3 weeks from yesterday is when the Giants will be taking the field in Washington to play the Commanders. I don't know if he will have shown enough by that point. Again, because part of the reason he only got 1 more game left. And only a handful of practices left before we get to that game. So I think week 1, it will still be Greg Van Roten. I think there is a chance at some point down the road this season, maybe Neal can take that job away. But for right now, I trust Greg Van Roten a lot more because he's just shown it since day 1 of last year.
I understand.
But again, as we've talked about, I still think Evan Neal has a higher ceiling at that position We know what we're getting from Greg Van Roden. We don't quite know what Evan Neal can do yet. So we'll see. But for now, I think it's going to be Greg Van Roden. What I think is the more interesting question, real quick, just while we're on the offensive line, let's say Andrew Thomas is not ready for week 1. Not that we've gotten any indication that's the case, but let's just say hypothetically it is.
Oh, I know where you're going here.
Would you, based on how they've looked in preseason and in camp so far,
I know where you're
would
going.
you automatically just put James Hudson in at left tackle, which is he has been starting as the left tackle?
Yeah.
Or has Marcus Bowe shown you enough where you would take a chance and put him in?
I think Hudson's the guy. He gets the call.
That's where I lean to.
Yeah.
But, like, let's say hypothetically, whether it's week 1 or if Andrew Thomas comes back and then unfortunately has to miss time further down the road, if Hudson doesn't perform or produce early on, I wouldn't mind having somewhat of a quick hook before putting Marcus Bowe in, because he really has impressed me with how he's looked.
Circumstances can change. But
I agree with you.
You got it. That's why
I
they
agree.
signed Hudson. That's what he's here for.
I agree. You start with Hudson, but Bowe has made it a conversation, at least, I feel like.
Cribs and Ribs also wanted to ask about Evan Neal. And yes, we both vocalized our hopes for Evan Neal to continue his upward trend. Giant Hopes 2025. What do you think the odds are of any one of Bellinger, Nacho, and Gano being cut for cap space? Do we have the depth to cut any or all of them? First of all, everyone on this coaching staff is raving about the offseason that Graham Gano has had.
Graham Gano's not getting cut.
I know he's got a big price tag on him, but did you see his 350-yard field goals against the Bills? I know one of them hit the upright and bounced through. He's looking as good as he ever has. I don't see any way the Giants make a move with Graham Gano. That's number one. So we agree.
Graham Gano is going to be the great. You know, he told me in the cafeteria the other day that's the first time in his career, and he's 38 years old. First time in his career, he hit 3 kicks from 50 yards in the first half of a game. Fun fact.
And you know what? He's still looking as good as ever. So I don't see them making any move with him.
What he did in that game, he's been showing us just about every single day of practice.
Yeah.
When he's off to his side field and kicking these 50-yard field goals from like a 45-degree angle, it's crazy. He's doing it every day.
Now, if he had left the door open for McAtamney, well, McAtamney has done better, although in the last week or so he was a little bit erratic in practice. That might be a story that we could talk about. But it's not a story because Gano has slammed the door shut. Yeah, he looks terrific.
Gano has looked like his former Pro Bowl self all summer.
Don't even go there. Nacho. The coaching staff is really high on Nacho. He's in shape. They're very happy with his intangibles, his leadership. He's all part of that feel-good vibe that's around this locker room right now. I would find it hard to believe. Earlier during the offseason, when they try to reinforce the line, I thought he would have to fight people off in competition. I think right now, he's done enough.
Yeah, I mean, he is one of the more vocal leaders on the defense, and that obviously goes a long way in the coaching staff's eyes for, importance in the locker room, of course. Not to mention, I thought he looked pretty good on Saturday night against the Jets.
He's done enough.
Blow up the box score, but he looked pretty good, especially as a pass rusher. He was winning his matchups, which obviously for when he's on the field, it's not like the Giants are going to be leaning on him heavily to pressure the quarterback. It's going to be the other guys around him. So I don't think Nacho is getting cut.
Okay,
either.
So we're 2 for 2 here. And Bellinger, I know at some point you wavered on him a little bit. I never have, and I'm still not wavering on him. There's always a possibility that if they do need to go get a few dollars, they could go to a player and they could do some adjusting. They could ask him.
We've seen it in the past.
Are you willing to either reallocate your money or could you even take a little bit of a pay cut? Those things do happen. If you want to suggest that might happen, I won't say it can't, but I don't see Daniel Bellinger getting cut.
No, I agree with you now. My point that I stood at, a couple months ago on this matter was I kind of was thinking that the offensive line would need as much help as possible, and that of all the tight ends, Chris Manhertz is the best blocking tight end. Yeah. And so I kind of was under the mindset of, well, Chris Manhertz has to be on this 53-man roster, at the very least, just to help with the blocking. Now, since then, the offensive line has looked very good, and is, obviously it's still August 18th, but they've checked all the boxes so far. And more importantly than that, Theo Johnson's blocking has looked significantly better than last year. He is taking a huge jump in that department from where he was as a rookie last year, which, again, going into year 2 in the NFL, somewhat expected, but he was kind of known more as a pass catcher, not necessarily as a blocker. He has impressed me very much with his blocking, so much so where I don't think you need to have Chris Manhertz on the 53-man roster necessarily now, because I feel confident with Theo and his blocking ability. So I do think that could pave the way for Bellinger to make the 53. I do think the tight end room is going to be an interesting one to watch, because you have, obviously, Theo's making the team, and then you have Bellinger. You have Thomas Fidone, who was obviously just a 7th-round pick, has shown some flashes. And you have Greg Dulcich, who's really stepped up the last couple of weeks and had that touchdown catch. That is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. I don't know if you can keep 4 tight ends, and if you're only keeping 3, that third one is going to be a very tough decision.
And let's not forget, in the last week or so, Manhertz has been nicked up too.
Yeah, that has not helped him.
No, he didn't play the other night. That'll do it for today's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live. We invite you to come back here again tomorrow, 2 o'clock live, or, of course, you can always get us on the archive at Giants.com. And as always, we're coming to you from the Giants Podcast Studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. You can get an archive of the program as well on Giants.com/podcasts. Folks, that'll do it for today's edition. We'll be back again tomorrow. From Matt Citak, I'm Paul Dottino. We'll see you next time.